back at home, all of you knows exactly what it means when we say God bless America. So thank you for that. Well, I do want to let you all know this is really important to me to tell you, and also for my staff. I have an amazing staff. You just met Patrick Parsons, my chief of staff. And I brag on everyone here. Travis Loudermilk, my district director. Justin's back here going all around. I think he was taking pictures. But I also have someone very special here, and that's Jackie. And she's way back in the corner. You know, wave your hand. Jackie is one of the superstars that will help you out if you have an issue. With constituent services. Jackie is here tonight, so you are welcome. If you have something that you need help with, you are welcome to ignore me completely and talk to Jackie, because we wanted to make sure that your needs are met. That's the most important part of my job and our jobs for you all. So I just wanted to make sure you all knew that she's back there and she's here tonight to help you out. So thank you very much, Jackie. I appreciate you being here. Well, I also would like to say, after I talked and brag about you all and how wonderful I think you are and how great our country is, there's a bunch of people up in the swamp in Washington, D.C. that seem to have forgotten how great our country is. And that really makes me upset every time I'm there. I was watching a movie on the airplane yesterday. I flew out to Florida and interviewed with somebody you might watch on the news. You guys know Tucker Carlson? He is great, and I just did his show. It's on Fox Nation if you want to watch it. It's an hour long. But I had a flight to take to go visit him and do that interview. And I watched the movie on the plane, and I watched The Patriot. And I don't know if many of you have seen it. Have you guys seen it? Well, it's such a great reminder of really what it took for these brave men and women who risked their lives, their families, their fortunes for a dream, really a dream, something that was whispered in meetings and ideas, and the very thought that they could form a nation and no longer live under the tyranny of a king, the greatest king on earth in that day, under the most powerful navy and army, right? And so that movie was really good for me to watch, and I thought about, wow, here we are living today in a time with taxation, heavy taxation, and a bigger threat of more taxation, which is what the Biden administration wants to do. They want to pass these big bills, big spending bills, trillions of dollars, and in these spending bills, they want to increase your taxes. And it's a terrible thing. You all work so hard every single day for the money that you earn, and you're already paying your taxes, and then here we've got federal government that wants to run you into deeper debt. We're already at almost $30 trillion in debt. Well, they want more spending bills so you can be further into debt, not just you, but your children, your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and on and on and on, right? And these big spending bills, infrastructure plan, for example, and we need to take care of our roads and our bridges and waterways and ports. These are very important things that tax dollars should be spent on. But I don't think infrastructure, anywhere in infrastructure, that means the Green New Deal. The Green New Deal, that really, if you read it, it's 14 pages, and I encourage everyone to read the bill itself. Don't read an article about it, read the bill. Confesses our American climate sins and would completely, radically change our country. Now remember, this was something that was introduced a few years ago, and everybody laughed and laughed, right? We're like, what is this AOC? Who is she, and what the heck is the Green New Deal? Well, and it sounded funny at first, but the Democrats have taken it very serious, and they've woven it into a lot of their plans. And this is the bill This is the bill that a lot of people are talking about, and it's all being named infrastructure. Well, within this bill, if it's passed, the problem with this so-called infrastructure plan and having the Green New Deal in it is it's going to put us in a very different kind of predicament that I don't believe we should be in. You see, the past 4 years we had a President Donald J. Trump. I'm sure I'm glad you guys feel the way I feel about him. God bless him. And he, for the first time, showed this country in a long time what it looks like to have America First policies.
Yeah.
And he did a really good job. And there was a certain country that he very much stood up to for us, all of us, and said, no, we need our American jobs back. Our American companies need to come back because over the past several decades, they got shipped overseas, right? And we need to be respected, and you're not going to spy on us and steal from us, and you're not going to dominate the world. That country is China. Well, there's a very big problem with the Green New Deal in the fact that it's going to say and make law that America has to reduce our net carbon emissions in half. Joe Biden has promised half reduction by 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, this is 2021, so that's less than 9 years that America has to cut our net carbon emissions down in half. And then Joe Biden, because he likes AOC so much in her Green New Deal, has also promised the whole world that he's going to completely go to zero net carbon emissions by 2050. Okay? Now, within the Green New Deal and the infrastructure plan, it says that the federal fleet, the entire federal fleet, which is over 650,000 cars and trucks, has got to be turned into electric vehicles. I think they're really cool. I do. I love all these clean energy ideas. I think they're wonderful. I think you do too. But I think the government has no business forcing our country and forcing industries into something that isn't naturally occurring, right? And the government has no business taxing us and regulating industries to force that to happen, and that's what this so-called infrastructure plan will do. Well, let's talk about what else it says. Not only is it the federal fleet, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you as taxpayers pay for, right? So that means you own the federal fleet, and federal employees just drive them. But the vehicles that you pay for the federal fleet becoming electric vehicles, you know what that means? Electric vehicles are operated with battery engines. Do you know what country dominates the battery market? Anybody? China. You guys are smart. That's right, China. China is the superpower in the battery market. So that means the American federal government's fleet that the American taxpayers pay for, the vehicles you own, are going to be dependent on Chinese batteries. How do you feel about that?
No.
No, I don't think so either. I think that is outrageous. Well, let's go a little bit further. Do you think America has a big battery market? No, we don't. China also owns over 80% of the rights to rare earth minerals. That's what's used to make batteries. Haven't we learned a lesson from the coronavirus, everyone? That it's very important where we get our supply chain from. And how can we have elected leaders that want to pass legislation that forces us to be reliant and dependent on a country like China? China has stolen from us, spied on us. China spies on us now. They have fully infiltrated our country. They want to be the world dominant superpower. You know what President Xi told President Biden? You know what he told him? He said, President Biden makes his big promise. well, we're going to cut our net carbon emissions down in half by 2030. President Xi says, okay, you go ahead and do that, Joe. I'm going to ramp up my production, Chinese production. We're going to ramp our economy up because he's smart. He knows that Joe Biden's going to tear ours down. President Xi says, I'm going to ramp up. I'm going to increase net carbon emissions. He said this out loud, everybody, in front of the whole world. Increase our net carbon emissions to 2035. And then I'll look at cutting them down. And then he says, and then our goal will try to be net zero carbon emissions by 2060. That's 10 years after America's supposed to be at zero in 2050. And we're supposed to believe that, right? Because he's like, pinky promise? I don't think so. I don't think so. But these are the decisions that are being made in Washington. And these are the bills that I'll be voting on. And I've been voting on many bills like this. Bills like the Equality Act. The Equality Act that says, guess what, ladies? Men that call themselves women get to go in their bathroom. They get to go in battered women's shelters, or women's rape shelters, or women's jails, and your daughter's sports teams. That was the Equality Act that I voted no on, that all the Democrats voted for, and it passed. But these are the type of bills that are going through. Other things that have been happening. Here's one that has really struck me, and I think you guys would be shocked if you don't already know it. Did you know that most of the bills that pass in Congress aren't actually voted on by every single member of Congress? As a matter of fact, many times these bills get passed by voice vote, meaning that they call the bill to the floor and then they call for the yeas and the nays. And so a couple on the left and a couple on the right, members of Congress, some say yay and some say nay. And then the person sitting up there in the speaker's chair, which by the way, most of the time is not a lady named Nancy Pelosi, it's somebody else, because that would require her doing her job the entire time, decides by listening who won the vote. Oh, I heard more yays, or I heard more nays. And that is how billions and billions of dollars, of your dollars, get spent and bills become laws. Now, I don't know about you all, but the first time I saw that happen, I think you could hear my chin hit the floor. I was like, what just happened? Did that just pass? Somebody said, yeah, that passed. I'm like, but there's only like 19 of us in here. There's 435 members of Congress. Shouldn't we all vote? Like with our little cards that they gave us, we vote, we put it in there and push the green or the red? No, these pass by a voice vote. So, I don't know if you guys heard the news. I have a little more time on my hands since the Democrats didn't like the idea of me being on committees. But I'm not one of those people that likes to sit around. And then I got really frustrated at the idea of only a handful of members of Congress spending a whole lot of our money when we're already in a big, big hole in debt. So I decided to learn something called floor procedure. It's fun. They should have never let me do that. So I decided, well, since I'm not on any official committees, there is one committee I am a member of, and it's called the Committee of the Whole. Yep. And that's in the chamber where all the members of Congress are on the committee. And when bills come through in the Committee of the Whole, I've decided that as much as I possibly can, I will sit myself in there, and I've declared myself chairwoman of the Committee of the Whole. And so I'm her chairwoman in the Committee of the Whole, and then I learned a little trick, and it's called, I'd like to ask for the yeas and the nays, Madam Speaker. So when the bill comes through and they got a handful of yeas and a handful of nays, and then they, of course, always say, oh, the nays have it, because they're Democrats. I say, Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask for the yeas and nays. That's asking they have to call everybody out of their meetings and all the things they're doing to come down and press a red or green button. Everybody gets called. So they have to leave their meeting or their lunch or their nap or fundraising calls, whatever's happening. And they all have to walk and come down. Well, that started going on, and guess what? Marjorie upset a whole bunch of people. And you want to hear the reasons why they were upset with me? Oh, the reasons are fantastic. Well, one of them that shocked me was, and this one came from a Republican, you don't want to actually put people on record. Who do they think they're talking to? Yeah, I do want them on record. I want them all on record. I don't care what party they're a member of. Yeah, they should be on record because that's our job. That's not a Republican thing, a Democrat thing. It doesn't matter. Everybody in this entire country deserves to know how their representative votes. Yeah. That's our job. We're supposed to vote. We're supposed to be on record. We get paid by you guys. You pay our paycheck. So I was like, no, we had a big argument on that. Here was another reason. Here's another reason. Well, if we just vote by voice, these can easily pass. These bills can just pass. And then if it's a freshman member of Congress, they'll get a bill passed and they'll get reelected. Are you kidding me? I'm like, look, most of these bills that are passing are horrible, and nobody passing a lot of these bills should get reelected. So, actually, a bunch of these bills that they passed should cause them to lose their reelection. So I didn't go along with that one either. Another reason I got told is it's a really long ways to walk.
Well, when you're 80, it is kind of tough to get
It's average age of retirement in the private sector is like 65. That doesn't work for Congress. No offense to anyone's age. Actually, I'm impressed with a lot of people that are opening their ears. And a lot of you would do better walking all the way down there to vote. But yeah, there were some pretty poor excuses, but this was the one that was really, and they said it out loud. As a matter of fact, it went into print. They were so upset with me and some of my great colleagues in the Freedom Caucus that really doubled down on this and forced votes. Because guess what happened? When we started forcing these recorded votes, a bunch of these bills did not pass. Cori Bush, she's the BLM Congresswoman is what I fondly refer to her as. She led the crowd into the Klossky's neighborhood, the folks that had to stand their ground with their guns and defend themselves, and while there was a big crowd coming through. Cori Bush was the one that led the crowd with a megaphone through their neighborhood. She's one of my colleagues, and she had a bill, and her bill was to allow felons, to vote. Not after they got out of jail, from jail. Just like, wait a minute, that's not a good idea. So I asked for a recorded vote on that, and here's the good news. Even Democrats didn't like that one. So we struck that one down. So we're asking for a record. So being the chairwoman in the committee of the whole is a lot more productive than sitting on a committee complaining to people like Jerry Nadler and Maxine Waters and Adam Schiff and all the fun folks about why we can't, wait, we have Republican ideas, and they're like, we don't care because we're in the majority. So I'm having a lot more fun doing this committee of the whole. But so they got so upset, they decided to pass a new rule. Nancy Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer. They passed a new one this past week when I was there, and they bundled all the bills up together. See, whoever the majority party is can change the rules. Did you know that? So Nancy Pelosi goes, well, this week it's not going the way I want it to. And they keep asking for these recorded votes. So we're going to lump all the bills together into one big omnibus bill. Stick them all together. And then we're going to erase all the recorded votes and say everybody has to vote on these at one time. One vote, yes or no. And then they put this out in a press release. And the reason why we're doing it is because members in the House Freedom Caucus, and I was definitely a big one of these people, keep asking for these recorded votes. So they were so annoyed. So they put it all together and everybody had to vote yay or nay for this one big omnibus bill. Congress is broken, ladies and gentlemen, because that whole big package of bills passed. And I'm sad to tell you that. It passed. And it also passed because they have the majority. Democrats can pass it if they want to or not. But unfortunately, some of my Republican colleagues voted for that. And I was pretty disappointed. Yeah, that shouldn't happen, right? Rhinos. So Congress needs to be held accountable, and I have no problem doing that. I think it's important because I believe that's the job that you all hired me to do, and that's the job that I'm committed to doing. All right, so let's talk about some of the bills I've introduced. Well, there's been some pretty important ones. One of the first pieces of legislation that I introduced was articles of impeachment on President Joe Biden. I don't think the man can serve and hold the highest office in our land when he's in business with his son in foreign countries like Ukraine and China. I think that makes someone vulnerable, especially when their son has a record like Hunter Biden does. And, well, we already saw the Democrats impeach Trump twice, right? And the first one was over a phone call with Ukraine, but yet President Joe Biden has a son who he said he would withhold $1 billion to give a message to a certain prosecutor in Ukraine to back off of his son. That's an abuse of power. Joe Biden should be impeached for abuse of power. But furthermore, Hunter Biden still owns part of a company in China. That's a conflict of interest, isn't it? And we know that there was a lot of information that came out that there's 10% for the big guy, right? Yep. This man should not be holding this office. That's just one reason. I could probably introduce many more articles of impeachment, but that was the one that I introduced. And unfortunately, I don't have any co-sponsors on that. I should have every Republican co-sponsor on there, right? We should. They said, we're in the minority, we can't do it. Okay, let me explain to you guys something. In the real world, where all of y'all live, and I lived most of my life until recently, we get things done every single day, right? You work hard, but you don't get it done like that. You start it, and you have to build it, and you have to sell it, and then you deliver it to your customers. Every single piece of legislation that Republicans should be introducing and everything we should be working on is something we're building to. Because there is a lesson to learn from someone that everybody thinks is pretty stupid named AOC. She introduced the Green New Deal in 2018, and now it's written in multiple forms of legislation that all the Democrats want to vote for. So there's nothing wrong with introducing things like articles of impeachment on Joe Biden, even if we're in the minority, because we should be working hard every single day to make that happen, because that's what the American people want. Fire Fauci Act. Highest work for us for free. It's amazing. Also, here's another funny. We Will Not Comply Act. Let me tell you why this one's really important. This one prevents Americans from being discriminated against because of their COVID-19 vaccination status, including on flights, travel. Access to businesses, schools, and obtaining a passport. You know what? The vaccine is amazing. Thank you, President Trump and Operation Warp Speed, for making that happen. He deserves all the credit. And I support everyone's right to get the vaccine. My parents got it. I have other family members got it. If you want it, I want you to have it. But if you don't want it, I don't want you forced to take it. And you should not be fired. And you should not be told your kids or grandkids can't go to school or go somewhere, participate somewhere. And you should not be forced into it. It's a decision. And we're Americans. We should have the freedom to choose. And if the vaccine works, then God bless the people getting the vaccine because they're safe, right? And same things with masks. If someone wants to wear a mask and they need to wear a mask, I want them to wear it. But I also don't want other people forced to wear the mask and be told they have to wear it when they don't want to. This is not the way we should treat each other in America. We shouldn't judge or hate somebody for a mask or a vaccine. We should respect one another's choices, and that's what this We Will Not Comply Act is all about. Don't discriminate. Don't discriminate on anything. Protection of women and girls in sports. Keep the boys out of girls' sports. Two of my favorites: Second Amendment Preservation Act, Gun Owner Privacy Act. Protect the Second Amendment. Leave our guns alone. Period. Yeah, don't try to take them. No Funding for Terrorists Act. Isn't it funny how you never hear anything about terrorists anymore? In Colorado, a man went into a store and killed 10 people. 10 people. Guess what? He was a Muslim. Why aren't we talking about, was this a terrorist act? We don't talk about it. Then, remember, there was a man, I don't even know if you heard about it. All we heard about was January 6th, the insurrection. But then there was a man that ran into the Capitol, the walls they put up, killed a police officer, got out of the car, stabbed the police officer, killed him, Capitol police officer. He was a member of the Nation of Islam. Why didn't they talk about that? It's not like terrorists just go away. These people are still saying that they want their religion to dominate the world. Do we just ignore that? I don't think we should ignore that. Terrorist attacks have happened in the past, they'll continue to happen in the future, and there's major funding for it. So I introduced the No Funding for Terrorists Act, prevents the Secretary of State Blinken from using any of your taxpayer dollars to fund the Palestinian Authority, a major sponsor of terrorism against Israel and the United States. Back the Blue Gold Medal Award.
Yep.
I love it. Let me tell you about this one. Okay, so they awarded the Capitol Police recently for their work on January 6th. I tell you, I couldn't vote for it, and I'll tell you why. And I had a hard time with not voting for it, but here's why. The language in that bill, number one, declared every single person at the Capitol there that day on January 6th an insurrectionist. And I do not believe that was insurrection. I'm not going to label people that way, okay? There have been riots and acts of terror all year long in American cities. And we need to address, if we're going to address issues, we need to address all the issues. The other thing is it declared the Capitol it declared the Capitol a temple. That is not a temple. Not a temple. And so I couldn't vote for that. But I'll tell you what, I was really excited about this. The Back the Blue Gold Medal Award awards all police a congressional gold medal for their bravery and sacrifices during the riots over the past year. Yes. All over the country. Yeah. Night after night, these police officers, day after day, deal with this garbage. They deserve a gold, they deserve it. They deserve medals. So that one was fun. Last but not least, most recently, there was a certain member of Congress that traveled across state lines to Minnesota, inciting violence, telling people that if the outcome of a certain trial going on was not the one they wanted, they needed to take to the streets, and they needed to increase pressure and get more confrontational. Tell me what is more confrontational than burning cities, looting businesses, attacking police officers, federal buildings, taking over police precincts, and on and on and on. I don't know what is more confrontational than that.
Maxine opening her mouth.
So, I introduced Expel Maxine Waters Resolution. Remove Maxine Waters from her committees. Maybe we could talk about things. She's been in Congress a really long time, right? I figured she could share her tricks with me. I think she's been in there longer than I've been alive. That's a lot of fun. So these are the things that have been going on. And I have to tell you, it shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this way. This is the greatest country. This is the greatest country in the world. It should not be this way. Members of Congress, we should all be here working together. We should be running this country. We should be running it like a perfect business. We should be coming out with a profit every single year, not a loss. Not putting America in debt. We should not be murdering over 62 million babies in the womb. What is wrong with us? Why are we doing that? It's disgraceful. Shame on America for doing that.
They forgot Jesus.
We should not be supporting gender pediatric clinics all over America. No. That's awful. Leave kids alone. Let them grow up. My God, how many of us did stupid things when we were young or thought we wanted to be something when we grew up or thought another way? Let these kids grow up. That's horrible. It's child abuse. We should not be shipping our men and women. We should do everything we can for our brave men and women in the military and not ship them off to foreign wars anymore. We should protect our own country. We need to finish the wall.
Yep.
Just buy your little plane ticket over there to Mexico, pay the cartel, it's like $10,000. Pay them $10,000, they'll ride you out there, they'll get you in. It's easy. Then when you get there, you're going to get a lovely silver blanket. You're going to get a place to sleep, you're going to get food. Hey, you're going to get a COVID-19 vaccine so you don't get sick. You get your teeth checked and all kinds of lovely things. You get to go to America. They're not going to stop you. As a matter of fact, they opened up the doors. They stopped building the wall. Why would they? Can you imagine? Why? There's no country in the world where you can just go in and get a job and live. ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah, we need to finish the wall. We need to secure our borders. Legal immigration is a wonderful thing. That's how most of us became Americans, right? And the people that spent years trying to become Americans, gosh, they worked hard and they're proud of it. We should respect that. We don't just let thieves in the back door. That's wrong. Drugs, human trafficking, sex trafficking, criminals, all of this, it's got to stop. We need to secure our borders. We have to do it. It's the right thing to do. It's not a political issue. It's the right thing to do.
That's right.
We need to stop sending all of our money to foreign countries. Why do we pay everybody? Does that make any sense? You know what I would love? I would really love this, and I've really been thinking this one over. I want an audit from all of these countries on what they've done with the money, y'all's money, our money, that we sent them. I want to know. If we're writing new checks all the time, year after year, where is our money going? And why do you continually beg for it? Why do we have to keep giving it to you? Guatemala, if things are so bad down there, we're giving you a lot of money. Why haven't you fixed your issues and helped your people? These are the right questions. They're not bad to ask them. These are the right questions. Accountability. Right? If the UN wants our money, where's it going? Yeah, it's going to a lot of people's. Well, maybe actually it's going to a few people's. That's the problem. Our money, America's money, goes into the elite's pockets and the rest of the world. It's wrong. Somebody's got to say it. We have to have leaders that say we're putting America first, we're putting Americans first, and we've had it with everybody else. And no, we don't have to play the game anymore. It's not mean. It's just the right thing to do. We need the world to respect America. And I thank President Trump because that is what he was doing. And everybody fought him on it. Everybody fought him. Both sides of the aisle. And the media hated him. They talk bad about him every single day, and they still talk bad about him. Every single day, that's right. Every single day. It's terrible. It's ridiculous. But the people know better. All of you know better. And you know, the media lies. Oh my gosh, they lie. It is something else. It really is. In a country where we have the freedom of press. God, what an amazing freedom. We don't have state-run media. But actually we do. But we don't have to. We can have media that has the freedom to tell the truth. But they don't do that. They're Democrat activists, most of them. There's Republican activists in the media too, but most of them are Democrat activists. Wouldn't it be great to just have plain news? Yes. That would be amazing. I don't even know what that's like. You? So, all right, I'm going to take some of your questions now. I'm going to quit jabbering on about what I think. See what you guys think. Okay, what is your position on forgiving student loan debt? Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of people that paid for their own college. There's a lot of people that work hard to do that. There's a lot of people that saved up money and paid for their children's college. I don't believe it's the government's job or the American taxpayer's job to pay There's a lot of great ways to pay for college, though. Work, yeah, I waited tables in college. Best job you can do. Boy, you learn a lot being a waitress. You can get the GI Bill. My husband did that. Went in the Navy, helped pay for school. There's a lot of great ways to do it. We don't need government-funded college, and we don't need federally funded daycare. That's ridiculous. On that note, that's what they want to do. They want federally funded daycare starting at age 3, and then they want to pay for college up to age 20. But here's the deal. This is the same party that wants to teach everybody the critical race theory, so you can apologize for your skin color. But yet we went through the greatest era, the civil rights era, where we finally had a leader that said, you know what, it's the content of your character and not the color of your skin.
Yeah.
And that's something I believe in, and I know you do too, so I don't know why we go to critical race theory. These are also the same people that deny male and female, God's creation. They want to be teaching little kids that, well, I don't know what gender you are. What are you? Who knows? It's crazy. And these are the same people that want to put masks on children starting at age 2. No. You want to put your kids in their daycare? I don't think so. I know I don't. I don't want to pay for it either. Okay, when are the Republicans start playing offense instead of defense?
Yeah. Big fact. Big fact.
I think you guys know I'm playing offense.
Oh, yeah.
And when you find out when a whole bunch of other Republicans are ready to get on offense, let me know, because I'm in need of a team. There's some good. There's some on the offense. There's some really great.
What about calling their office every day?
Call them.
They don't answer, Marjorie. They don't answer.
No, you have to leave a message, and I'm sure they don't hear you.
Gotta leave a message. Gotta send an email. Write a letter. Show up. Don't climb the Capitol walls. Don't do that. I'm making jokes. No, they need to hear from the people. They need to hear from the people. All right, so what can be done to force liberal DAs to enforce the law equally instead of politically? Or is there a certain issue you guys are talking about? I don't know, that's a tough one. I think they need to be fired. I don't really believe in accountability. When someone's not doing a good job, I mean, that's how it works, right? If you're not doing a good job, you get fired. It should apply that way for government too. No one should be able to keep their job for any other, unless they're doing a good job. Years and years and years. Yeah, they should be fired. That one is tough. As a lease purchase over the road truck driver, the infrastructure bill they are attempting to pass will cause over 1 million plus drivers their livelihood. How concerned do us truckers need to be about this bill passing? I'm concerned about the entire infrastructure bill. I'm concerned about it because only 6% of it is actually infrastructure. Only 6% of $3 trillion is actually infrastructure. It shouldn't, there's no need for the other 94% of the infrastructure bill. It doesn't make sense. It should just be voted down, and that's it.
But with the same bill, let's say, that one spot in the infrastructure bill that hurts us as truckers across this country that have worked this whole pandemic with no PPE, no respect from anybody, no nothing. They're trying to put 1 million or better of us out of business with this one bill. And California and New Jersey have already done this to their owner-operators and their lease operators. That's our concern. We know our roads need to be fixed. We pay more in taxes as far as roads are concerned than anybody else in this country. Our fuel taxes, everything comes out of our pockets. So, I mean, do we need to start worrying about this more so because they want everybody as a union, like UPS and YRC and FedEx, you know, the people that they've already bailed out with these trillions of dollars in their care packages and stimulus packages. This is an issue. This is what we need to know, because last we heard, this had passed Congress, and then we hear it sitting on Congress's table still.
It's sitting on our table, you're right. Thank you for speaking up. Because you know what, most truck drivers are the last people that anybody ever talks about. And I'm sorry for that. You guys do a great service to our country. Like you said, you worked the entire past year while a lot of people stayed home and took a check. And you deserve that applause. And all truck drivers do, because you deliver all of our goods. You drive, you put up with the rest of us driving on the road. And I know that's got to be hard. I don't even know how you drive that big truck. It's a tough job, and none of these bills should punish you and punish you for working for yourself and doing it yourself and not being a part of a union. No, you shouldn't be treated this way. And so I'll be voting no. I can tell you right now, I'll be voting no. But yes, everyone should be concerned about this bill. It's a terrible bill. You shouldn't be forced into a union or punished because you're not a member of one. And so, but thank you for the job that you do. I will say that, and I support you. It's a hard job. It's not easy.
Yours isn't any easier than mine.
Well, we're tough ladies, aren't we?
We're something.
Yeah. Is there federal dollars for a county agriculture center? You mean specifically locally? Who's asking this? Okay, yes, right there. You're talking about locally?
Yes.
Well, there is, so there's earmarks that become an issue. And I'll talk about that right now. Earmarks are like what's considered pork barrel spending. I know people have heard that term. And it's an issue that conservatives are very much against because it's also a power issue. So if each member of Congress is trying to get an earmark passed, they have to pick and choose who and where within their district, and then leadership gets to decide, well, you got to cozy up with leadership and make sure you're minding your P's and your Q's to get your earmark passed. So that's why I'm personally against them. And I'll just be real honest with you guys about that. I don't think specialized spending is good. However, is there ways to fund things like this? Yes, there are ways to fund it. So you want to be able to help your districts and do all of that stuff. But I'm against pork barrel spending, and I'm against earmarks. I voted against them in our conference, and I just don't think it's good. Anywhere there could be corruption or manipulation with members of Congress or among people in a district, I don't think it's a good idea. So just to let you know on that one. What can we do to help you get back on your committees? Thank you for that. I'll tell you right now, I really don't want to be on my committee. Like I said, I'm the chairwoman of the Committee of the Whole. And I get a lot done there. And they'll put me on committees when we take back the majority in 2022. And I really think that's going to happen. And then I think they owe me some really good committees. What do y'all think?
Yeah.
Or I'll just go back to the Committee of the Whole. I'm pretty happy here. What can be done to combat lies being pushed by the media and the Democrats, i.e. conservatives being domestic terrorists? That is a great issue. Thank you for asking that one. Conservatives are not domestic terrorists. Trump supporters are not domestic terrorists. That's a lie. And I'm tired of everybody being treated that way. Now, I will say, I'm angry about people attacking the Capitol on January 6th. I didn't like it. I'm going to be very honest. I didn't like it. And I'll tell you why, because I was in there when it happened. And it was scary. And it shouldn't have happened. And most of the people that they've arrested that did the damage and really were the ones doing it didn't really vote. From what I understand, most of them didn't even vote. So I wouldn't call them Trump supporters. I wouldn't call them any supporters. They didn't vote. What they were is they were anti-government. The real question that needs to be happening about that day that no one ever asked is who put the pipe bombs at the RNC and the DNC, because that was both Republican and Democrat. Those pipe bombs were there, and no one wants to talk about that. But I'm very much against the riot at the Capitol on January 6th. But also, very, very happily, and I would do it again over and over, objected to electoral college votes in 6 states for Joe Biden. And I would vote for that again. But I don't believe in violence, and I don't think that's the solution. The real domestic terrorist is Antifa and BLM. are ready to start addressing that issue, then they need to stop talking about QAnon and Trump supporters and domestic terrorists. That's ridiculous. I've been to a lot of Trump rallies, and I know y'all have been to a lot of Trump rallies, and I've never seen any violence. But we saw it on TV, and we saw it in cities all across the nation for a year, didn't we? Billions of dollars in damage. Billions. That needs to be addressed. But I will also say the people that attacked, that did damage and things on January 6th, yeah, no, I'm not for that. Not at all. I don't support that. What do you think about conservative students being treated differently than students that don't show their views? P.S. I love you, MTG. I love you too. I think that's horrible. Why discriminate against students that have conservative views? Kids should have their views, right? Shouldn't they be able to talk about it in the classroom, whether it's conservative or liberal or whatever their views are? They shouldn't be treated badly on college campuses or high school or anywhere because of their views. That's mean. But it's the commonplace. It's common and it happens too much to our kids. I've got two in college. And that's what happens. They can't express their conservative views because they're deemed bad. They're just bad for having conservative views. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We need to go back to being friends with each other just because maybe we like the same food or the same sports team. We need to find common ground. And kids need to be kids and not mistreated because they're conservative. Are you supportive of making the new child tax credit permanent? I like the child tax credit. I do. I like taxes. How about you guys? I'm not a fan. I definitely want people to pay less taxes. The Democrats don't, though. They want to raise capital gains from 20% to over 39%. They want to increase the estate tax, the death tax, and income taxes. So these are problems. How do we stop big tech? I did an interview on that earlier today. Turn them off. That's a good one. Sign up for Trump's social media platform when it comes out. How do we stop big tech? Big tech, okay, so they're a business. Now, we need reform. We need it. Republicans had the opportunity to do it. They failed. I'm still mad about that. Why didn't they do it when they had the chance? Why wasn't there Section 230 reform when the opportunity was there? President Trump said he would sign it. It didn't happen. So they were interviewing me today about what legislation are you going to introduce or what are you going to co-sponsor to stop big tech? My issue is they should have done it. I have no problem saying Republicans failed. They didn't repeal Obamacare. I'm still mad about that, aren't you? They didn't defund Planned Parenthood. Why not? Why? They didn't fund the wall. I can't understand it. They didn't defund sanctuary cities. Why not? Do we harbor illegal aliens and criminals? Is that what we do?
That's where the new Democrat votes are.
Why didn't they do anything about Section 230? They had the opportunity. Now we got big tech can do whatever they want. It's ridiculous. So guess what? You know what works? Let's say there's a certain restaurant in town, and I'm not making this up, because I bet there's no bad restaurants around here. Okay, so let's say there's a bad restaurant, and every time you go eat there, they throw food at you, they mistreat you, they disrespect you, the food gives you stomach aches, they smack you around, they kick you on the way out the door. Are you going to go back? No. The greatest way to end Twitter is to leave. The greatest way to end Facebook is to leave. Yes. Don't hang out somewhere that kicks you back. Now there's a lot of people that say, no, you gotta stay because we need to engage in the conversation and the discussion. And I do see that side too. But the problem is, it's gotten to a point where there is no discussion. It's just mistreatment. And so I've left from the opinion of we need to stay and have the conversation to the point, but right now, you know what, we're like an abused spouse. We need to stop the abuse and say, when you're ready to be nice, we'll talk. And that's pretty much how I feel. And then there's another thing I know. Money talks. Twitter and Facebook, if they lose, let's say all Republicans and all conservatives leave those platforms, they are going to be hurting. And they're going to want them back. Right? Why do you think they didn't permanently ban Trump today? The board on Facebook did not permanently ban Trump. Do you want to know why? They're not stupid. They know he's going to introduce his own social media platform, right? He said he's going to. I know he's going to. He's told me he's going to. I'm excited about that. It's coming. So Facebook says, God, we hate this guy. We've got to ban him permanently. We really hate Orange Man bad. We want him gone. That's what they say. But we can't get rid of him because he's going to open up something to compete with our platform. And when it opens, everybody is probably going to leave Facebook and go to his new platform. That's the truth. So we better wait and see how this is going to work out and how bad it's going to hurt our stock prices, what it's going to do to our market share, and how much money it's going to cost us before we vote to permanently ban him, right? So that's what they did today. But I honestly think money talks. And I sure wouldn't eat at a restaurant that treated me bad every time I went in there. But I seem to go back to Twitter every day. I have to. It's my job. What can we do specifically to support you and the Republican Party? Well, I sure would like to take y'all with me to Washington. It'd be fun to have regular people in there every single day. I would love it. I would love it. They just don't understand you because they rely on pollsters and political consultants and the experts that know, those people to tell them what you all want. But I would love for y'all to be there and tell them what you want, and I wish that they could understand. So the best thing that I think you all can do is, if you're a donor, only donate to Republicans that you think are really doing a good job. And if that's me, I always appreciate it. But don't donate to the ones you don't think are doing a good job, because they don't deserve your money. If you have the time and you're willing and able, and I hope you do, I think Republican voters need to be activists. And I mean activists with a voice. I want to see you involved. The great thing happened at a bunch of the county GOP conventions recently here in Georgia. A whole bunch of new people joined many of these county GOPs. And guess what? In several big counties, so many of the new people came in, they got rid of old leadership and voted in new leadership. I thought that was awesome. People are fired up and they're getting involved like never before. Getting active. If we just complain to our friends and our neighbors but don't do anything about it, nothing's going to change. You can't expect results. People that didn't vote for our 2 senators and we lost our Senate seats, you can't complain if you didn't vote. That was the worst thing to do, is not vote. We have to vote. We have to get active. We've got to call, even when we get the stinking voicemail. Leave a message. Send an email. Show up at their office. Join the local GOP. Talk to neighbors. Put up signs. Demand accountability. If you don't like the election, guess what? You deserve answers on the election. You can't be told no. You're the taxpayers. I say this over and over. I said it in another interview earlier today. You paid for the ballots. You paid for the election. You paid for the people that worked it. You paid Brad Raffensperger's salary. You paid for all of it, and you shouldn't be told shame on you for the big lie if you want to ask questions about it. And if anybody won an election fair and square, they should be happy about everyone seeing an audit or seeing the results. Just check to make sure. There's nothing wrong with that. No one should ever complain about that. There's nothing wrong with asking and saying, we want to see it because we paid for it. Because I remember 4 years ago, #resist and #not my president. And and a women's march all over Washington in really disgusting costumes and signs. So there's nothing wrong with wanting accountability and asking questions. And I think you're the people, and you deserve to ask the questions, and they should listen. Everybody should listen to you. It's people over politicians. People over politicians. Okay, what is your thought on patent reform, i.e. removal of PTAB for small investors and big tech? Well, so this is the one that protects like Apple and Google. Who asked this question, Warren? Okay, do you want to get more specific for me?
Yeah, PTAB basically takes small vendors like myself and basically puts you in front of a group that is hired by Google. That's the Congress basically has formed in order to do away with small vendors so that the big tech companies can control the marketplace. And
That's what I thought.
we don't have a chance.
No, you don't. Okay, this is the land of the free and everybody's equal country. No, you shouldn't have to have permission from Google or a board that Congress puts together on your patent. Everyone deserves a chance, and it sure is hard to be a small business owner. So.
Yeah, China also is infiltrating our patent system, and now it's eventually going to wipe out small businesses.
Well, I'll tell you, I had a meeting, it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, where Mike Pompeo was our speaker. And this is disturbing to know, but he said, just so you know, China has basically infiltrated the United States, top down, bottom up. They are interested in talking to every city council member, every county commissioner, every mayor, every governor, every elected person, every member of Congress. They definitely want a relationship with. Communist China is the biggest threat to the United States. We used to think that Russia was something, and we had a Cold War, and our alphabet agencies were all about worrying about Russia, but we're not on top of things with China like we should be, so it is a problem. They fund our universities, they're getting involved in our schools, K through 12, imagine that. There's many Chinese businesses all over the country that are loyal to Communist China. The Communist Chinese government comes and visits them. That was from Mike Pompeo. So this is a problem. We need to be vigilant. And with our patents, they should not be able to be taken with China. Patent owners, American patent owners that do business there should not have to sell rights to their patents or their inventions or their company to do business there. That doesn't treat Americans fairly. We've got to protect these things. So we need to stay vigilant on China. How can I help you make Georgia a 2A state? Constitutional carry. We should just pass it. Didn't we have a governor promise us that? Right? Okay, I can't do it because I'm not a state. I'm federal, so this is a state issue. I think you guys should have him make it happen, okay? And then ask your other state legislators. It's important. Constitutional carry should pass. And let's see. I would just like to thank you, Representative Greene, for your service to our district. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. It's my honor.